Hey everyone, it's that time again. Time for the complete rework of Sombra. So just a disclaimer, this is going to be more of a wild card rework, as in I don't really think it's something Blizzard would do, especially when we get into like the really cool stuff. But you know, who knows, maybe. They've done some pretty drastic changes before, so maybe this could be something else. So as you remember, the previous video, I was trying to just fix her hack ability, and it was really fun. The comments were actually really good. But yeah, like I always do, I gave out a bunch of different methods I would approach to kind of reworking how her hack works, and then, you know, present it to you guys, and then I read through every single comment in the comment section. And after reading through all the comments, I get a good aggregate of what the people want to do, what they don't like, and then I, you know, come back with this. So yeah, that's what this is. So first, let's review all the problems with Sombra. The problem with Sombra is I actually kind of think Sombra's fine the way she is right now. I think the main problem is Blizzard just trying to push her to be something that she's not. But I actually think she's fine. I don't think her hack is like terribly oppressive or anything, and I think she plays well when the Sombra player really knows how to play her and is like communicating and stuff. So, you know, but this is, you know, they want to do a rework, so we're going to do one too. The big thing is that Blizzard is trying to push damage on her, while her entire design prevents her from doing decent amount of damage. Like, check this out. You're supposed to flank the team, take time to hack the enemy, shoot, and when you're low on HP, and when your HP gets low, which is very fast, you have to teleport out of there and reset and then start the cycle over again. Like, it doesn't help you do consistent damage. Her entire kit is completely opposed to her being able to do consistent damage, but they want to kind of force that. If we're compared to people like Tracer and Genji, well, actually, Genji's horrible, but I think the ideology of Genji we can compare her to. And even, you know, Echo, but let's focus on Tracer. She is consistently fighting, not doing all this setup, and not leaving the fight to a translocator that's across the map. So as all my reworks go, I like to have a great flow for the character, but also I try to stay true to the original design and feel of the character. So what we need to remember is that Sombra is meant to be a flanker, right? So we need to look at Genji when he was good, and Tracer and Echo, to see how they have been successful and how we can kind of redesign her more in that direction while being true to, you know, her original design. So yeah, let's begin. First off, let's talk about the Translocator. No more Translocator. Fighting a Sombra and just having her disappear sucks. Completely makes her have to reset all the time. She has to escape the fight and then rerun back and do all that unnecessary BS. However, I did think of limiting the range of her Translocator, like Sombra's Rewind, but it will also take too many button mapping options and kind of just get really clunky. And also, I don't like the entire reset. Like, I think it's a big thing that makes her not effective at dealing damage, just having to escape, again, from just teleport out of there just to go back and then teleport out of there. So yeah, now the Translocator is gone, so goodbye Translocator, and you'll see what I replaced with that later. But yeah, now let's move to invisibility. Invisibility now lasts for 6 seconds and is on a 4-second cooldown. Permanent invisibility is stupid. So is hacking while invisible. So this will be used to allow her to get in or out of a battle. The second thing I would change is hacking and shooting both turn off your invisibility, so you don't hack and immediately go back to being invisible. These are pretty, you know, simple standard things I think everybody would agree with. The third thing I would change about invisibility is you fall out of invisibility if you take 25 damages, not instantly from taking any damage like it currently is. However, if you do take damage that is less than 25, you will appear for, you know, maybe like a second or something before going back invisible. Kind of like how you can kind of see her bright purple outline when you bump into her. So this is just to prevent you from getting sprayed by accident across the map, which happens to me a lot. And other things I'm trying to avoid with this, which we'll talk about later. And remember, this is her only way to enter and escape a fight now. Tracer has blink and rewind. Genji has dash and deflect. Sombra Translocator sucks. So she has to be built completely around her invisibility. So being able to take at least some damage while you're invisible, I think is fair. So we need to make this a bit more robust, especially since it only lasts for 6 seconds now. And now for the big one. The hack has, like, I don't know, over 10 parts. So yeah, I'm gonna have to see how I'm gonna write all this in the video, maybe just one by one instead of listing everything. So yes, the meat of Sombra. Pause. The carne asada, some might say. Well, for those of you who have seen my last video, there were two versions of a hack that everyone seemed to like. Not just like, but loved. So I'm going to be implementing it here. And it's malware and spyware. So because everyone enjoyed the concepts, I decided to keep them both. But before we get to those, a few housekeeping things that I'm changing about the hack first. So the first thing we're going to change about the hack is now instead of 0.85 seconds to initiate the hack, to activate the hack, that time is reduced now to 0.75 seconds. And you'll see why later, but she needs her hack. It's the big thing about her, so she should be able to pull it off. It's how she engages, and it affects a lot of the other things in her kit that you're going to see, like the malware and the spyware, where it's just too important for it to actually happen. So yeah, and I make sure it's not OP, right? So yeah, that's the first change. It now just takes 0.75 seconds to hack somebody. The second thing I'm changing about the hack is now you need to take 30 damages before the hack is canceled. So essentially 2 shots from a torp turret. I think it's annoying as hell that if you want to counter a Sombra, you just play Torb and put a turret in the back and she just can't do anything anymore. You just have to kind of switch off of her. At least this way you're able to get some type of hack off. And also, like, getting canceled, your hack getting canceled because a diva is peppering you with 1 damage across the map, that's also kind of dumb. So yeah, I'm kind of exaggerating, but you get what I'm saying, right? Especially with the nerf to her invisibility now, I just made, and how dependent the rest of her kit is going to be off of pulling off the hack. I think this is an important thing to have there. The next thing is I'm going to be changing are still pretty basic things. So the hack no longer gives Sombra extra damage when she shoots the hacked target. I think that's easy. That's replaced with something else. It's not forcing an artificial extra damage on a character because she's poorly designed. She has other ways to do damage now. The hack still retains its ability to stop character skills. The reason for this is not only is it her signature ability to turn off powers, but I think it's still very powerful. Being able to stop a character from doing long-lasting skills is extremely powerful. Take it from a Doomfist main. Getting hacked mid-slam or while charging my punch, just I think it's very cool that she can turn people off like that. Plus, it's only for a second, so it's not oppressive or anything. And honestly, I think people have PTSD with her hack from Overwatch 1 because I feel like 70% of the people who get hacked don't realize how fast they get it back and still don't use it. Like when I play Sombra and I hack somebody, is like, you could have done something like, I don't know, like 3 seconds ago. Why are you still not doing anything? But also, here's where things are going to start getting a little crazy, and you're going to see how it ties into other stuff. So now when people are hacked, they are hacked for 10 seconds. No, their abilities are not locked for 10 seconds, but they have a hacked status on them for 10 seconds. For her to be able to follow up with the next part. When the target is hacked, Sombra can press Shift or E to activate either malware or spyware. Whenever either is activated, the target will give them an indicator that it's about to happen, so they have the opportunity to get away from the rest of their team or find some way to retaliate. Sombra will also need to be within 20 meters of the hacked target to activate these abilities. So first, let's get into malware. Malware does a burst damage to the hacked target for 75 damage. It has a small AoE blast that will inflict 100 damage over 5 seconds to anyone in the vicinity of the hacked target that Sombra just activated malware on. I'll get into this a lot more about how this works in the how this plays section, but this will be her burst damage and kind of a good consistent way for her to do damage overall. And no, the malware, the person who initiates the malware does not take the 100 damage over time. That's just for people around that area. So it's kind of like a harder version of Ash's, was it Dynamite? But also much more cerebral, because there's a pretty cool plays you can do with this, especially when I show you guys how everything works near the end of the video. So yeah, that's malware. You can also wait to activate the malware at the perfect time. Remember, they have the hacked status for 10 seconds, so you can wait around in your invisibility state or even harass them to move into the enemy team before detonation. You can be very strategic with this. If instead, the Sombra player decides to use spyware, the target receives 100 damage over 5 seconds with no AoE damage, but any buff that character receives is reduced by 30%, and Sombra gains that 30% that the person is gaining. So that's anything from, if the person's being speed boosted, 30% of the speed boost will go to Sombra. If the person's being healed, 30% of the heal is going to go to Sombra. If the person's being damage boosted, 30% of the damage boost is going to go to Sombra. So you can see one is more offensive, right? As in she's doing AoE damage, she's doing damage over time, while the second one is more for her to gain something from. It's her new sustainability. And when I get into how everything works, I think you guys are going to see that it's really cool, the way it works out in my head. Especially when you realize that the hack is on a 4-second cooldown. So again, that goes for the ult charge the person's getting from, fighting back or healing. The healing the person's getting, Sombra will get that. Sombra will get the ult charge the guy's gaining. Sombra will get the healing the guy's getting, the speed boost, the damage amp, all that good stuff. This will be used more defensively, like if a flank goes wrong, because generally when getting flanked, the other person's team kind of goes to help them by healing their target. By healing the target, they will also be healing Sombra. It's a different branch of the Tracer Rewind and Genji Deflect system, in my opinion, and stays true to Sombra's identity, right? This is essentially what spyware is, right? You're taking something from other people for yourself, and it gives her a way to survive in the backline. It also de-incentivizes helping the target from the team, so they kind of have to make a decision, right? Either they focus on trying to kill the Sombra and let Sombra kill their teammate, or they help their teammate and in turn help Sombra. So there's some counterplay to this. You can see how it's working. So one last thing I want to say about this, about the last change about the hack is so Sombra can hack several people at the same time, right? Because it's on a 4-second cooldown and you are in the hacked state for 10 seconds. But it'll show you who you would be activating the ability on your heads-up display. So let's say I hack a Mercy, and then after that I hack a Soldier. On my heads-up display, I can see like the whether I activate Malware or Spyware. It's gonna go to Mercy first, and then Mercy moves out the queue, and then it goes to Soldier. So that's kind of how you keep track of who you're affecting and how you want to play it, because it gets very strategic, especially once we get into how this works. So for her ultimate, I didn't really think much about what I would change for her ultimate. I think it's not lame that it's just everybody just takes 40 damage, right? It's kind of like very simple. Maybe I might do a follow-up video, but I don't know. Maybe I think it's fine the way it is, but I'll probably circle back on that. Anyways, let's get into the how this works section. Hey everyone, if you're still watching, it means you're probably enjoying the video. So please like and subscribe, and maybe leave a message too, as it helps for the algorithm, which helps me keep making these videos. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter to keep up with everything. And if you have a chance, check out my Patreon. It's one of the best ways to support the channel to allow me to keep doing what I do. So yeah, thanks everyone. So this is how I imagine this plays out. Remember, one big thing I go for is overall flow of the character, sliding in and out of the things you can and can't do, and kind of just tying everything together in like a really nice package. Since she's a bit complex, I'll give two examples. I'll give two small examples, and then an overall, end game, high tier gameplay of how I think this would work. So yeah, let's say you're in a game, you're Sombra, doing the normal flanker routes, just kind of walking through, and then when you're close enough to, the backline of the enemy team, you activate your invisibility and you start running in. You have 6 seconds to get in there. You run up to a nice vulnerable Ana, begin hacking her, but there's a Torb turret that sees you mid-hack and starts shooting at you. But lucky you're able to get the hack off because you need to take 30 damages before it would cancel your hack. And for those of you who don't know, I think a Torb turret does 14 damages with every shot. So by the time he's able to do those 2 shots, by the time the 3rd shot happens, your hack would have just been done. So we'd kind of time it in like that. That's kind of how I imagine it would work. So now that the Ana is hacked, you start to shoot her. You're able to get her down to, let's say, 80 HP before her team is finally around to support her, but you're still in range to activate Malware, and you do. So the Ana sees that Malware is about to infect her system, and because she has no mobility, she can't get away from her team fast enough. So she takes the burst 75 damage and dies, and her teammates within range also get infected. So now with the assassination attempt completed, you turn yourself invisible and the team attempts to find you. You take a small amount of damage while you're running away, but because there is a requirement to how much damage you need to take now before you get kicked out of your invisibility state, you manage to get away. So now for scenario 2. You sneak around back the normal way you did in the first example, and you attempt to kill Anna. However, her team supports her quickly enough that you know you won't be able to get the kill off. So instead, you activate spyware and start stealing the healing and defensive applications that the team is providing the Anna. Long enough for you to stall and survive for you to get your invisibility cooldown again and escape. Or, because the healing is impeded, you have a better chance of out-damaging her to get the kill. Because now you're being healed, she's not getting the full healing, and you can still attack. So either way, you either are able to survive long enough to escape, or you have a final attempt to actually, get the kill off, because you can attack longer. You have your own form of sustain. So now let's bring it all home. Scenario 3, this is the more high caliber way I think this would work. So scenario 3 is that Sombra gets a hack off and runs away. She waits for the hack cooldown to come back and hacks another target. Now she has 2 people hacked. She activates the spyware on the first target to have a sustain going on, and then activates malware on the second target to get an AoE damage thing going. This way she'll be able to sustain herself with spyware and stack her damage on the target with malware, and stack her damage with the malware and her normal primary fire. So I think this will be freaking awesome, because check this out. Because you have the hacked status for 10 seconds, the process would take 8 seconds at its fastest in the middle of chaos. She would also be able to hack another person 2 seconds later, so you have one more volley in there. But that will be reserved for really skilled players to be able to kind of get 3 hacks off and kind of decide what they want to do to each of the targets. Because again, you can't hack the same person several times. And as you can see, the sustain for this would be crazy. It'll like, you get rid of the whole choppy gameplay she had before, because you could actually make big plays like this. Now, because of the reasonable cooldowns and the more robust invisibility, you're able to harass the backline as often as Tracer is, so you're much more consistently there. Or Genji, you can leave and come back, or sustain yourself while you're harassing the backline now. So yeah, in conclusion, there you have it. Let me know what you guys think. I think this one was very fun. I think this is probably one of the more creative ones I've done. So yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe, leave a comment for the algorithm, and don't forget, I love you.